So first thing I do is I draw my river. It's not on here, but every time I have an equal sign, I draw my river. That means I need to make sure that I can't do inverses, or I can't put anything or combine anything to the other side unless I use inverses. After I draw my river, I'm going to distribute if necessary. So here we can distribute. And so what that means is I'm taking this, and what am I doing to each of these parentheses? Multiplying, right? So negative 6 times 4x is negative 24x. So I'm just going to bring it down here. Negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36. And so the biggest mistake I've seen here is that a lot of people mess up their signs. So when in doubt, just use your calculator. Then right here, don't forget that negative, that lunch tray. So now here it's negative 6 times 3, which is what? Good, negative 18. And negative 6 times 4x, which is negative 24x, equals negative 30. So first thing I did was distribute. And the biggest mistake, make sure when you're doing your math, use your calculator. That's all you got. Because one wrong sign can mess up your whole answer. Next step is combine like terms. We did this all last unit, and you guys killed the test, so you knew what you were doing. So first I'm going to find like terms. So I see that this one has a last name X, and I'm not going to forget about its lunch tray. And this one has a last name X. So I'm combining on each side of the river. What's negative 24 plus negative 24? Put in your calculator. Negative 48, right? Because negative just means you lost. So if I lost 24 bucks and I'm out another 24, I'm out a total of $48. Don't forget the last name. Then I got to combine the constants. But remember, I don't combine this one because it's on the other side of the river. So here I have positive 36 plus negative 18. And what do you end up getting? Perfect, 18. And when I first did this, I did it incorrectly when I was making the answer key because I put negative 18 and made my whole answer wrong. So just make sure you're not messing up their negatives and positives. Next thing I do is add or subtract the constant. So see, now it's a two-step equation, what you've been doing for the last 2 days. So to get 18 to the other side, what do I need to do? Subtract, right? It's the inverse of adding is subtracting. Good. You get negative 48x equals, and when you do this, you get negative 48. Last thing, to get x by itself, what do I need to do with they're that clingy couple? How do I separate them apart? Divide, right? So if something's stuck to a letter, like that clingy couple, I divide, but make sure don't drop those negatives. When we walked around, we saw a lot of people dropping negatives. Don't drop their lunch tray. When I do that, I end up getting x equals what number? 1. And so this is equation. So remember, inequalities, I have more than one answer. But equations, there's only one solution here, which is 1. Last thing, and remember, you don't have to do this every time, but make sure when you do your ticket out the door and things, it's a good idea to check your work by plugging in your answer. And so all you have to do is you take the original equation and take your calculator, and you're just typing the original equation in, but every time I see an x or a variable, I'm going to plug in what it is, which is 1. So I'm going to rewrite the equation right here, which was negative 6, even with the parentheses, and then 4, and I'm just going to put a parentheses right here, minus 6. Equation 3 plus 4. And so you can literally type that in your calculator, but instead of x, you're just going to put a 1. So type that into your calculator. And so remember, even when you have multiple choice questions, you can always get your answer by plugging in and figure out which one works. When you plug this in, what do you end up getting in your calculator? Make sure this is a minus right here. Does anyone need help putting it into their calculator? Oh, just be careful with these negatives. So make sure negative, this would be like a minus. So make sure the negatives are just if there's no number, like this is a negative. All the rest of these are minuses, which are the same thing, but in your calculator, it can't read it like that. Did everyone get negative 30 as your answer? And so when you do that, you can see, oh yeah, when I look back up at the question, it says it's equal to negative 30. So I know I got the right answer. Or you could do it by hand and use PEMDAS and solve it, and you should still get negative 30. Does anyone have any questions on how we do this? So first we just distribute, combine like terms, and then you just solve it like a two-step equation. So on your next sheet is just practice with multi-step equations. So if you go to that next sheet, it's like just a kind of a drill detail sort of thing. So the first page is just one distributing property. The second one looks like this. And so right here, we can go over one more together just to make sure you got it. And then we're going to let you off on your own. Make sure you all got that worksheet. So first thing you're going to do, and I'll walk through one more with you. If you feel like you're good, then just go and start doing it on your own. So first I'm going to draw my river. Next, I'm going to distribute. Distribute means what? Multiply, right? And so make sure I multiply to these two, but not to that one. That one doesn't get multiplied. It's not in the parentheses. So negative 8 times 8 is negative 64x. And negative 8 times negative 4 is positive 32 minus 7 equals negative 167. Another mistake I see people do a lot is they add instead of multiply when they distribute. Next, I'm going to combine like terms. Are there any other x's here that I can combine on this side of the river? Nope. What about the constants? Which ones? 32 minus 7 or plus negative 7. What do you end up getting? What is 32 minus 7? 25. So now I'm going to rewrite it. Negative 64x plus 25 equals negative 167. Now it's just like a two-step equation, what you've been working on for a little while. So next I need to get 25, the constant nag, right? The guy who's always trying to get on their business, to the other side. How do I do that? Good. Subtract 25 on both sides. When you do that, you get negative 64x equals, what do you end up getting when you do that? Good. Negative 192. Lastly, how do I get the clingy couple away? How do I get negative 64 away? Divide. What do you end up getting?
3.
How do you check your work? Plug it in, right? So in your calculator, I would just practice plugging it in. Instead of x, you're going to put 3 because that's what you got. Minus 4, minus 7. And when you put that in, you should get negative 167. If you do, you know you got your answer correct. Does anyone have any other questions or any questions, comments, confused about anything here? Because this is like your basis for Algebra 1. So like, this is something we're really taking time to make sure you know, because this, if you don't get this, then you're really going to struggle with Algebra 1. And we want to make sure you're like solid. So if you got this, Algebra 1 will be a piece of cake for you. Even maybe before, if it wasn't, it will if you understand this. So what we're going to do is my binder is going to be up here. I have the answers in my binder. And so make sure you're showing your work. If you want extra paper and you just write larger, I've left room. But if you want to take space and write it out, I can give you an extra piece of paper. But you're finishing this sheet and then just doing that first ticket out the door. So not the second one, the first one right here.
What do I do back again?
Just do as much as you can. Yeah, so that's all we're doing for class. You still have like 30 minutes. And then you take your ticket out the door and then